What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. I am Scott Smokin' Sills. We are joined by my man Brad Baumrock, who was not here last week, but he has returned. And our very special guest today, which is Bob MacPherson. And Bob is going to join us and talk about the Horizon website, which he operates as a scheduler, and he's going to be taking some questions. But before we get started, there's a lot going on, and I'd like to get right to it. I mean, a couple things happened in the NHL that were kind of big this week. The first one being that our longtime announcer, the extraordinaire, has retired, and that is Doc Emmerich. After 40 years of hockey, he has decided to call it quits. Thoughts, guys?
3,500 some odd games. It's a hell of a career in my book. I don't care what you say.
Yeah, he was incredible and still is incredible. I'm just, I guess it's time to pass the torch. Looks like they're looking at Mike Tirico, I think it is, and who's the one guy? Oh my gosh, John Forsland and Kenny Albert. Those seem to be the most likely candidates for that job.
I haven't seen any names yet, so sorry, can't help you out there. I wish I could. I want to say sorry that I wasn't on last week's show. It sucks, but technical difficulties, which Scott, on my screen,
you look like you're frozen up again. So if
am
you
I
want,
frozen up again?
Yeah, click out, come back in. That's all. Probably the
All
best
right.
thing. It's probably an
Keep
internet
keep
connection
going,
for you.
Bob.
But Bob is here. And the other thing I want to ask or actually talk about is the Blackhawks, because I guess they've basically thrown the towel in. It seems like that they've decided that it's going to be rebuilding, and they've announced that to everyone. So we're going to see a little change in the Blackhawks and what they're doing. They're saying that they're trying to make it better for the veterans and get some deeper officials or deeper players in there. But, Brad, if you're just joining us back, obviously, I just mentioned that the Blackhawks have thrown the towel in this season. It came out yesterday. So I know we talked about that a little bit. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, they did send a fairly desperate email that I saw, basically promising the fans that they're going to be around. So I don't know if that's
around the
they're
bottom
hurting
or
they're just trying to keep it in check. But the Hawks freed up a lot of cap space, so they can do something. I think they're just worried about fans, and I think a lot of fans are worried. And when's the time to break up the core? That's the question.
We had Blake Sorensen on last week, and Blake said it really upset the locker room that, they released Crawford and released Saad to save some money because they didn't feel that was right during the pandemic situation. But, it's the handwriting's on the wall. I mean, they got rid of McDonough, which saved them a lot of money, probably millions of dollars. And, on top of that, now they're releasing players. I think, it's time. I mean, the core has been together for a long time. Seabrook should be out of there now. That's going to save some cap money. So there's a lot of things going on that, eventually will help the Hawks. It's just a case of, are they ready to start drafting and paying for the players? Or are they going to kind of wait things out? So that's a little bit about what I wanted to cover on the NHL today. Anything else you guys want to add to that? I'd love to hear.
Yeah, sure. I think Taylor Hall in Buffalo is going to be a huge addition. I actually know a couple of the players that are in Buffalo, and they're all excited to have him on that team and to try and turn things around. And their first goal is to get to the playoffs, which will be a first in, 9 years.
Yeah, well.
It's a tough feat, especially in this day's NHL. Trying to keep a team together is hard enough in the NHL.
Yeah,
it's difficult.
Yeah, guys, if you're out there and you want to send some comments our way, please feel free to do so. Jump in. It's a conversation. So I know we got a lot of people out there watching. Feel free to chime in, talking a little bit about the NHL. And before we continue here, just a reminder, we do this every Wednesday at noon. I know most of you guys that are watching already know that, but noon, and you can watch the replay or on Facebook, Ref Room, just basic Ref Room in every location. You could find us. Same thing with Twitch.
You could be our first Twitch viewer. Somebody check it out other than me.
No, we've already had a couple people on from Twitch, so that's kind of cool. It's not exactly the priority for us, but we prefer you subscribe to YouTube. The broadcast is really great. If we could get Facebook to give us the 1080 like they give the gamers, oh my gosh, I saw a stream yesterday from Facebook in 1080. It's incredible. It blows YouTube away, if you can imagine that. So that's enough of that. Hockey in Illinois, and
all right,
we seem to be closing down. It looks like we've got some new restrictions. I'm going to let you go at this one, Brad, because I know you're pretty upset, and this is your neck of the woods. Some of your areas that are getting closed down, and your friends' rinks and things. So take it away.
Yeah. So lately, we're going to have a shutdown here. Again, 4 counties: Will County, Will County, DuPage County, Kankakee. Apparently, somebody's going to walk behind me during this. I don't know why. Kankakee County and Kane County. So those are the next 4 biggest counties in Illinois behind Cook. So we have a lot of friends that operate businesses and rinks and stuff like that, and it's discouraging. I don't know about anybody else, but I've been reffing for 21 years, and this is starting to look bleak day by day, and it's getting worse. I want to stay positive. Bob, maybe you have some more insight on what's going on in the referee world. I know that AHI and USA Hockey, they're they're trying to get some stuff done, but I don't know what they can do against our fair governor. I guess fair would be you would call
some
it.
Really good points. Well, at least, yeah.
No,
well,
go
at
ahead,
least for the Q Mite League, they're following the lead of what what's going to happen in direction from the state. So if the crew at A-High, if they'll roll, the Mite League will roll. If not, they won't. On that subject, on the men's league, it's really up to the rinks who's willing to let guys in and let guys play. They are skating. There's some rinks that are shut down. There are other rinks that are skating, like Seven Bridges, Orbit, Mount Prospect, a few others. But that could get all shut down too. It's just a matter of how compliant either the rinks want to be, or who's going to, come from an outside agency and really put a clamp down on them and to shut them down.
Well, they're taking people down to groups of 25, so technically you could still probably have a hockey game, but it's going to be tough. I mean, it would be limited. Maybe, like a men's league game you could probably get away with, but 25 with anything else is going to be pretty much impossible. I mean, you got 20 players on a team and a couple coaches. There's your building right there, and no parents. So, one team can come in there and, they could probably keep practicing, but that's about it.
Well, unfortunately, with what we saw in Massachusetts and now Florida, they're starting to have these outbreaks. And from what I heard, Massachusetts actually, there are some agencies that are actually going into ice hockey rinks that are being defiant. And I believe they're writing citations to these rinks. So I don't know if they're going to start playing with locked doors, or I don't know what's going to happen. But it's looking pretty bleak because we're in October. And one thing I want to remind, especially everybody in Illinois, our hockey starts very early. Our hockey starts in September, where a lot of hockey doesn't start until basically now in a lot of parts of the country. So we're a little bit lucky. We get a couple extra months on our season. So let's try and not get so frustrated, but I know it's difficult. It's terrible. I mean, Bob, there's some stuff going on outside the states. I don't know how much anybody's willing to talk about that, but officials are traveling, and I don't think that's a terrible thing, but I think we got to be safe doing it too, and make sure that everybody's looking all in the right interest. At least that's the way I look at it. But
if you wear, most rinks actually do require you to wear a mask into the rink at least. I've heard that over in Michigan they're requesting or making players and officials on ice skate with masks, which I don't know how that's worked out, but I could see it being a little difficult for breathing. But I mean, those are some of the restrictions and things that are going on to have to get the game in.
Yeah. Well, they've got a new shield.
It's been left up to the rinks and the referees, from what I've heard.
Have you guys seen the stuff that CCM and Bauer have put together? It looks like they've got almost like a face shield that's full that is essentially a protection shield for the players. So, I mean, I don't know how fast they can manufacture those, if they can make enough of them and get them out to the hockey community that quickly. But,
you're talking about the one that bubbles
like
in, right?
It
goes in the bubble?
Yeah, it looks like a clear shield like you used to wear as a player, but they've made some changes or improvements to it to make it more safe for the other players, I guess. The mask protects everybody else. It doesn't protect you. It protects the others, right?
Correct. My understanding is that goes inside of a bubble. That blue section. Because my kids already have a bubble. Yeah, okay. I believe this is my understanding that there's the bubble and then there's a blue section that pops in on the inside. That's what closes up all the bottom holes.
Gotcha. Yeah, I haven't seen one other than like the photo from like one of the pro shops or whatever. So I haven't seen one in up close and personal, I guess you would say. All right. Well, one of the things that we wanted to do today, we brought Bob on, and I think we're having a little trouble with comments coming through, so I think we're good. So appreciate anybody that wants to send comments and questions, because we will take some questions as we move through the show. But Bob is a scheduler, so for those of you that don't know Bob has a lot of games that he puts out during the course of the year, and he's switched over. He's running a site called Horizon Web. Is that correct, Bob? Correct me
It's
whenever I'm
Horizon
wrong.
WebRef, which is, it's Horizon WebRef, and it's a web-based service that a company out of Buffalo runs. So it's really available to anyone who's willing to buy into one of their subscriptions.
Okay. So the site is actually very cool. I'm sure some of you have used it. There may be some of you that have not used it. So we thought we'd bring Bob on today to talk a little bit about the site and some tips and tricks that he can share, because I know I have a couple questions regarding the site, but I'm actually going to start it off with this, Bob. And that is, so you have a lot of games that are run under a different organization. Maybe you can tell us about that. But I know that the officials can join that as well to get supplemental insurance. Is that correct? Because how are we covered if we are going through like your games? How does that work?
Well, for all the AAU games, which really right now in the Chicago area are governing the MITE games, you can join AAU. I believe it's $16. It's kind of no different than joining USA Hockey, and then you're covered under their insurance, which typically is supplemental to whatever insurance you already have.
Right. Well, actually, it's really good because unfortunately, I got to take advantage of it big time about a year and a half ago. So, I mean, it definitely works. But so in terms of like, if you're doing other games that are scheduled, is there supplemental insurance that's available for the referees that are working those games? How does that work?
Well, if they're USA Hockey is sanctioned games, then absolutely. And
yes,
some of the non-sanctioned tournaments, the tournament companies purchase insurance riders that cover all participants.
Okay. That's good to know, because I think a lot of people had some questions about that. So it's something that I was curious about myself. And in terms of the site itself, a couple things that maybe that I noticed on there, and maybe you can walk me through, because that's why we've got you here today. But I wanted to know, is there a better way to filter out? Like if you want to look for games maybe that aren't the MITE games and you want to do a filter, can you walk us through the process to kind of get to different games or selection processes?
Yeah, in the search function, when you're looking for games, there's just a number of different drop-down boxes that you can request that have all the games that we have you can choose from. You know, if you want to filter out MITE, Squirt, Pee Wee, Bantam, or U10, U12, U14, 16, and so on and so forth. Same with men's league, and you can also filter out by rink locations as well. So here in the Chicago suburbs, if you live way south in like Orland Park, you're probably not going to want to drive to the North Shore or whatever, but you can filter out rinks and so on and so forth. That makes it easier when you search for games.
Yeah. Well, it's a pretty cool site. Go ahead.
Hey, Bob, it's been a few years since I've used the site because one of the assigners used it and just haven't been on it. It's set up per like organization, correct? So like you're one organization, what you schedule, and then there's a men's league scheduler up north. They would have to send you an invite in order to be able to see those games, correct? Is that how that works? Or is that everywhere in the area?
When games are posted, it's how the assigner sends the games out as to who they send them out to. They can do just a complete blast where everyone in your system sees them, or some assigners have a specified referee list that they want the games to go to.
Okay, I just had that question because it was a totally different, league organization-wise. And I just wanted to see I didn't know if everybody could see all the games. I didn't know how that was done. I have a couple questions about the site too, so I thought I'd ask.
Yeah, fire away if you have some more.
No, that's good. I didn't know that they were able to talk like the Arbiter website. When you join Arbiter, you have to be a part of that group in order to see, the assignments from that club or even to be recognized by them. So I didn't know if that worked the same way with Horizon or not. So I was just curious.
Well, for the Horizon website, which is available at least throughout the United States, there's different organizations that use it. For instance, the USPHL Junior League uses Horizon. Now, if you want, without having, you can be on that and you can see games that we have as well. You just have to request to come over. And in the 3 years that we're using it, we've accepted everybody. That way you can get on and you can see whatever games you. So if you live in Michigan and you're an assigner over there and you're different, you have an organization, you can still see games that we have. You just have to get in ours. It's on the website to request a link, and then you're available to be on our site and see our games as well.
Okay, we
Gotcha.
actually in here I'm going to put up right now. We got from Brett. What's up, Brett? How are you? Thanks for joining us. He said he skated in Michigan last week. Everyone was required to wear masks, players and referees. E-whistles were used in some cases, or you had to pull down the mask. Michigan referee-in-chief was ensuring this happened. So RIC is referee-in-chief for those of you that are joining us that don't know that. Well, obviously they're taking it very seriously up there. And, it's for the safety of everybody, but at least we're playing hockey. So, Brett, I appreciate your letting us know how that works. And thanks for checking us out. So, continuing
Brett,
on this
I'm
conversation.
glad you didn't get kidnapped while you were up there, Brett. I'm just going to let you know that. I'm going to put that little shout out
There were a
out there.
series of referees that were actually looking for him.
They're taking things seriously, but, the governor almost got kidnapped. So just throwing that out there. They're definitely serious up there in Michigan right now, and not making fun of any of my Michigan buddies, but
that group wasn't looking for a referee. They wanted a linesman.
They wanted a scorekeeper. That's what they wanted. So
there you go. Here we go. Let's see. We got another question here. Let's see if we can get this one up as well. And this comes from Patrick. Great show, boys. Well, we appreciate that. My question is, how do you determine who skates what games? Well, that's perfect because that's exactly what I was going to ask Bob, and it looks like Brad has dropped out again. He'll be back. So there's a good question right there. So can you answer that one, Bob? I mean, how do you determine who skates what games?
Yes, that's a great question. First and foremost, it comes really down to what an official's skating ability is the first thing that I look for. If you can't skate and stay in pace of a game, then you shouldn't be out there. That's really what it comes down to. Assigning from mites through club college and men's league, it's a wide area of skill level. For me, as a mite assigner, I'm really being that's our lowest level, and we're learning the game and teaching. Those kids are just learning. I'm willing to put any official out there, actually kind of almost sight unseen, because it's the lowest level of what our hockey is. But if a guy that I don't know is requesting an elite level men's hockey game that pretty much features a lot of former college players, that's very fast, I can't in good conscience do the players any justice by putting a guy out there that really doesn't know how to skate well. And those are some of the things I look for. If you want to get with me, or send me an email or call me and ask for games, that's fine. A couple of my assigning partners, we utilize Live Barn. So if there's games that you've been scheduled on elsewhere, let me know. And if they have Live Barn, I can watch games that are in their archive and see how. But
I don't want to interrupt you, Bob, but we bring up Live Barn all the time. It's just one of the camera facility or camera companies that's out there. But guys, we always tell you to be careful out there when you're working games, because you are being watched. You're under a microscope. And here's a great example. So now you have a schedule telling you that he watches the games too. So if you put in for a game and he doesn't know you, he's got the ability to go in and look at some of your games. And if you're interested in working for one of these schedulers, I would say probably one of the best things you could do is to send them an email and maybe even tell them a game or two that you worked that was a higher level game, so they can actually tune to that one and watch it and see what your ability is, so that you can start getting those games. Is that a good suggestion to put out there, Bob? Not only have I seen it, I've experienced it. It happens, okay? Yep. Even Big Brad over there has been bumped before. Am I correct, Brad?
Yeah, the good thing is, luckily, I haven't been hit hard enough that anybody's hurt me yet. I did see my best friend dislocate his patella, which that's your kneecap for a lot of people during a game. And I've skated junior hockey and pro hockey with him for many years. Then it was just on an innocent play. We get hurt too. The only bad part is, people either go, oh, or they laugh at you when you fall down. So we don't have really an in-between like the players do.
Yeah.
You don't want to be stuck.
Exactly. So tell us a little bit more about selecting process. I mean, when you're scheduling multiple games and how you work on getting people. I'm always amazed by the assigners, the great job that they do getting people from point A to point B and getting all these games taken care of.
Non-COVID times. Right now, there's an abundance of guys that want to skate, and there's very few games, obviously. But in normal times, I'll give Thanksgiving, for instance, which is typically one of the biggest weekends in Chicago. for hockey because there's tournaments in almost every rink. It can get hard, and it gets, officials get thinned out because they want to work as many games as possible because there's obviously money on the line, and they're trying at that time of year, especially they're trying to earn that Christmas dough for their families and stuff. It can be difficult, and we're really limited to the number of subscribers that we have available in our website and our directory.
Okay.
And then, it's being honest. It's asking people, typically the most I ever like to assign any official is no more than 3 games in a row. I mean, especially if it's a little higher level, you're going to work, you're going to skate, you're going to be tired. Look in the mirror. Safety is number one. You don't want to get hurt, and you don't want the players to get hurt. Those are the 2 biggest factors. But then are you able to give it the same effort in that 4th or 5th game if you had 5 or 6 in a row or 4, whatever, as you did the first game that you stepped out on the ice? The participants deserve your best.
Yeah, it's I'm getting a comment here. It says Bob has some echo. We apologize for that, gang. I mean, it could be a room, guys. We kind of lost it there for a second. Hopefully we can rejoin. That happens from time to time, and it looks like we are back on. So we apologize for the technical difficulties. We are in a beta software. This is brand new, and it's in beta, so it's not even a full release, just so you guys are aware of that out there. So we apologize for that, but we eliminated Skype. I don't know if we did ourselves a favor. Maybe we need to go back to Skype for a couple weeks till we get to a different point here with this software. But it looks like we've got everybody back on, and we've rejoined. So we're going to continue the conversation with Bob. I'm sure that Brad will rejoin us. He's had some technical difficulties on his end with internet, so he can't get his mic up, and so we're just doing the best we can today. But Bob, I want to ask you too, so when it comes to scheduling, you've got a number of teams that come to you that use your services. I mean, how do you guys determine, and one of the things that I really like about your site is you actually tell people what they're going to be paid and that they can request the position that they'd like to work in. So whether you're a referee or a linesman, or maybe you have no preference. I think that is absolutely awesome. It's brilliant. And I know a lot of the other guys really like that as well. In terms of how do you guys negotiate the fees with the teams and how the referees will be paid? Because we do see differences from game to game. Could you cover some of that for us?
Yeah, typically it's some of the tournaments or some of the leagues will just put a cap out there and say, you know what, and I'll pick men's league. There's a particular men's league that says we're only paying this much, and that's it. And that's what we have to go with. Right. And then, I just respond back to those, if we call them customers or clients, and you have to understand that some refs will or won't work for that price level. And you have to understand you'll get what you pay for.
Yeah, I totally get that. And it is, it's a free market, guys. So you can make the decision to want to work those games or choose not to work those games. You're not obligated to request a game. It's not like, you're putting in a date that I'm available on the 30th of this month and, the assigner is going to fill it out for you. You're going in and selecting your date, selecting the times that you're willing to work. And, based on your skill level and your ability, the assigner and maybe geographical. I mean, there's a lot of things that come into play because there's other people that are involved. Do you rank your officials, Bob? I mean, do you have a ranking from 1 to 100 of who your top officials are, so you know that when they click in, they are going to get certain games? How does that work in the scheduling?
That's a really good point, Scott. I don't have a specific Excel spreadsheet or anything that I rank guys from number 1 to number 100. I kind of know just from experience seeing guys in rinks and seeing them on the ice and comments back from clubs as to who can handle what levels. And that's kind of what we go off of. Gotcha. Obviously, in the horizon, one of the things we have, obviously, we can see if officials elect to in their profile, they can list their USA Hockey level, number 1. Number 2, it builds off of experience as to how many games referees have worked. We have game counters, so we know how many games officials have worked, and at to what levels. And again, it's just saying, I get requests from kids like, oh, hey, I want to be on a midget game. It's like, okay, have you ever worked a midget game before? Well, no, but I passed my level 3 now. It's like, okay, let's maybe we'll do our best to put you on a tournament game, in a first game of a tournament, and put you out there with 2 experienced refs who know they can handle the workload if you get a ref on the ice who just happens to not be experienced enough. In my past, there were signers who gave me the opportunity. I know they did without ever meeting me or seeing me. And I want to try and be the same exact way and give everyone a chance to get to a higher level of games. But what it does, it really comes down, you have to be able to skate and keep pace, number one. You don't want to be in the way. You don't want to get hurt. And you don't want others in the game to get hurt either. That is first and foremost. I know I said it before, and I don't want to harp on that, but you've got to be able to skate to the pace of the game that you're working.
Absolutely. Goes without saying. Well, the other thing that I wanted to ask you about in terms of the scheduling, well, here we actually have a comment. So let me go ahead and I'm going to bring that comment up while I got you on here.
Okay.
Give me 1 second. And it comes from Patrick, not the real Patrick Kane, but otherwise we'd be really famous if he was watching. Do you think the pay for a game should be higher? Is it good where it is at now? Well, he's asking like the pricing. Do you think that the compensation, how does it work? I mean, some states do pay more money, some states pay less. I mean, it's just the reality of things. It's a free market, guys. Salary, your pay is negotiated.
We talk with all of our customers or clients about what the rates are going to be, and we try to be commensurate all along. I think $50 for a men's league game is pretty fair, especially if it's 3 15-minute periods. That's a lot of hockey. And I think they should almost all, it doesn't matter if it's an
A. We're losing Bob now.
I thought they all should be. And that's what a going rate should be. Now, on the lower end, a mic game is $30. That is maybe 3 11-minute periods with 7 and 8-year-olds. You're not going to probably have pucks whipping off the boards, hitting you in the back, or you're having to duck or listen to adults use profanity. You may hear it from the parents, but you're not going to hear it from the 7 8-year-old kids. They're not going to hurt you. And I think $30 is a great rate. So basically, from mic to men's league, the fees are all in between there, and we try to just step them up a little bit with every age level.
Yeah, we got some more comments coming in here. So let me see. Somebody says, "Am I the only one who can't hear anything?" You should be able to hear something. I mean, I'm watching the monitor here on YouTube, and it seems like we're in there just fine. So that might be on you. It says no volume. Yeah, I think we had a moment that we did lose volume there for a second, but we should be back. Feel free to pop in the comments if you're hearing us clearly now. Again, I apologize for any technical difficulties, but it's just the software is kind of acting up. We lost Brad. Brad hasn't tried to redial back in. Otherwise, we would have him. Somebody said no volume, but that was before. That was a few minutes ago. So if you're not hearing us now, again, I think my monitor is good. I'm hearing it on YouTube. I'm watching it. I'm watching that broadcast as well. So I think we're good. He says, I can hear Scott and Bob loud and clear. Good work, boys. Well, thanks for that, Scott. Appreciate you, buddy. One of our top referees, Scott Gaffney, checking in. And Scott does a great job. Had the privilege of working with him many times. And, Bob, I'm sure you guys all have refs that you just know and trust, that you feel like you can put on any game. How do you get into that circle of trust that gets you into some of these better games when they don't know you as well, and maybe they're a little bit newer, or maybe they're level 2 moving to a level 3 or something of that nature? Can you tell us the process for you in terms of how that works and how these guys might be able to start getting better games?
Yeah, absolutely. The best is communication, number one. Reach out and ask, what can I do to get better games? And I'll be honest with it. If you're asking me, Scott, I'll ask you directly, like, all right, I need to see you skate because I haven't seen you skate before if I don't know you. What can we do to try to, what's your schedule look like? Can I, for right now, the way it's going on, can we get on a men's league game together? Are you available? I'll send you a couple of games and choices. This is when I can do it. This is when you can do it. Or I may try to get you on a game with, again, 2 or 3 other officials who I know and trust that are good, that you can skate with, that they won't, depending on how things go, things won't go haywire. Right. And they'll give not only you, the official, and me honest feedback as to what we think your current skill levels are.
See, that's brilliant. I love that. And I think that's a really wise way to do things because, you do have guys that you trust that you can get some feedback from. And it's almost like getting evaluated out there, guys. That's why we always tell you to work your hardest, give it 110%, no matter what the game is, because you don't know what opportunities will come your way based on the performance that you gave that night. And you never know who's in the building. That's something that has been told to me from day one when I started this. You never know who's in. We have a lot of people from the NHL that come through the buildings. We have a lot of people that are involved as national officiating, national USA Hockey people. I mean, the president of USA Hockey is based here in Chicago. He's in the building all the time. You may even see him in a locker room from time to time, which is the case for me. I've run into him. These are the people that are decision makers that can really help you if you're trying to do this for a career and you want to move up or you want to get the better games. These guys take notice. They know who's on the ice. They know who's working hard out there. It's not like they haven't seen the game and know what it's supposed to be and where you're supposed to be in terms of position. So these are the things that we preach all the time. Am I right, Bob?
Yeah, I mean, you can't really say it much better than that, Scott. I mean, to get to the next level, you just you have to work hard and you have to ask for it as well, and you have to be willing to accept honest, constructive criticism or feedback.
Yeah, Terry McLaughlin just checked in. He says, "You never know who's watching." You're absolutely right, Terry. And thanks for watching us. We appreciate it. But I mean, how would you go about asking? I mean, who would you go to? Would you go to an assigner? Is that who you would ask to try to get the better games, or would you try to get evaluated? What's the process that you think works best?
First of all, is reach out to the assigners because they're the ones that ultimately put officials on games. That'd be number one. Here in Illinois, for the Illinois Hockey Officials Association, I'm not sure the total protocol because I'm not in it, but they have an advanced development program. Find your way into that program. Yeah. Or I'm sure it's right on the IHOA website. Brad, who was on with us earlier, I know has been involved with that. I was involved with it a long time ago when I was on the board with IHOA. Find your way there because I believe they do monthly sessions or even bi-monthly sessions. A lot of it is skating, and they'll put you on games with other higher level officials and work you into circumstances that will help you build up your abilities and learning on the job.
Yeah, Brad is absolutely involved in that. So, guys, you can reach out to him directly if you want from the show. You can send him an email or a text or whatever the case may be. And in addition to that, if you guys have not been to any of the skating sessions that get put on by IHOA does this. You don't pay for them. They are free of charge, but they usually have ice pretty much monthly, and you can go skate. They have power skating instructors on hand. They do a great job. They will teach you to skate like a referee because as a referee, we do not skate like we did as players. And I'm a perfect example of this. I mean, ask Brad. I was a really choppy skater. I mean, as a winger, I just chug, and, go to the puck. But you have to learn to skate like a referee. And we do a lot of things different. We use a lot more edge work. We try to keep both feet on the ice. Our stride is a little different. It's more of a forward motion, they call it pull the rope or whatever the case may be. There is a different way to skating as a referee out there. And, part of what we do is perception. I tell people that all the time. If people don't believe that you look good out there doing the job, you're digging a hole before you even start, and that starts with how your appearance is when you come out on the ice and your attitude, when you go greet the coaches or whatever and say hello to them. Bob, why don't you give us a little advice from your perspective of what, referees should be doing and what you look for when you want to move some of these people up and get them into a better position?
Yeah, absolutely. What I tell guys is when, if we'll start with the college level, and impressions are everything. When you step onto the ice for the first time, it's not, if the net is right by the door, you walk out and you want to set a net, that's fine. But I actually tell guys, don't worry about that immediately. 2 hot laps, good skating form, shows the guy, the other players that are there, the coaches on the bench that, you know how to skate. Because the last thing they want to see is a guy who comes on the ice who's either lollygagging around or doesn't have a good stride, thinking, oh God, how is this guy going to skate with us and stay in the play to be at the net, to be at the line, or where he needs to be. And it really even still trickles down to the mite level for younger kids. And I tell them the same thing. You know, as soon as you know that the coaches, or you can see the coaches they're watching, take a couple of laps, whether it's in the neutral zone or still full ice when the players are out there. You show the crowd and the coaches that you know how to skate first and foremost.
That's a great bit of advice.
Because you've already set the message straight with everyone that you know how to skate at least. Okay. And then they work, and then that's already just a misnomer that's already out of place. You know, and then you can work from there. You know, but that's one of the most important things is give a great first impression. Look like you're there to do a good job.
Yeah, great advice. I mean, I actually haven't heard that. I mean, that you should go take those couple hot laps. A lot of us just do it kind of automatically. We go out there just to get loose real quickly. I'm guilty of liking to stretch even after I've taken those couple laps. I usually go over by the bench and either say hello to the coaches, but a lot of times I'll go over and stretch by them just for a couple moments. And it's a chance to chit chat with them a little bit and just show you're human. Versus just going over and doing the nets and going back over by the scorer's box or whatever the case may be. It's worked well for me. Maybe it's not the best time to stretch. Maybe they feel like I should be stretching before I come out there, but I can't get a board high enough over there to get my leg up, and I need that stretch because you know, my back just requires that. So that's just something that I've done over the years, and I've never had anybody say anything to me, you know, negatively about it, but coaches make a determination the minute you hit the ice as to what they feel you're going to be like out there. And, you know, it's a perceived situation. So, look the part, guys, you know, make sure your jersey's clean, make sure your crest is on nicely, make sure your pants look nice, make sure you don't have the pant leg tucked into the back, make sure you got a chin strap fastened, make sure your visor's clean. I tell you all these things and go down the list, but these are all things that, you know, not only the coaches are looking at, the fans and the parents are looking at it too. I mean, they're looking going, oh man, you know, who is this? Because I've sat up in the stands to do evaluations before, and it's kind of interesting to hear some of the comments when they don't know you're up there and that you're watching referees or whatever. You know, it's scary because you can be watching a game and there's nothing going on. Parents are like, oh, is he going to call anything all night? I mean, it's very interesting to listen to them. A lot of them just don't know the game well enough, and they don't know what's going on out there. So, you know, be prepared for it, guys. Get those better games.
Assigners take notice of how officials look.
Yeah. Well, I think it's great that the assigners are out in the buildings when they, you know, they work with guys, they see guys, they, you know, they pay careful attention to who's out there and what they're doing. And I've seen guys that are newer get moved up pretty quickly because, you know, an assigner was there and saw him like, oh man, this guy's a good skater. Number one, being a good skater is going to help you because if you could skate, that means they can teach you a lot of stuff beyond that, but you got to be able to skate. You can know the game backwards and forwards and every rule, but if you can't skate that game, you're probably not going to get that game, guys. That's the reality.
Yeah, that's a really good point, Scott. It really is. I can't you know, really stress it any more than what you already said, that's what it is. I mean, my dear wife was listening to all my rules questions as I prep almost every year for a test, that she knows the rules better than I do, but my wife's never skated before. Yeah. I mean, she knows every rule, but she can't skate,
yeah,
you know,
so true.
And it almost is, you know, skating should come first, you know, and rules knowledge is huge too. And that comes with experience, like at any job you're going to work at. Right, it really does. It's the experience, but you have to have some of the initial tools to be able to get the job done.
Yeah, I mean, we have a lot of rules and situations in the books, guys, and girls. The reality of it is, some of these are very unusual rules that you may only see once a season, once every couple of years. But they want you to know those rules, and it's important. But once it happens to you, trust me, you will know that rule, and you will never forget that rule. And it may take a couple years for you to see that happen. You know, a puck is batted, and then it's batted again, and then it's batted again. It's very rare you see a puck getting batted back and forth across lines, but eventually it'll happen. You'll need to know the rule. So, you know, if you have that happen and you don't know, and you're like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I got that right or not, go back and look at your book or ask one of your fellow officials. Most of the guys in the locker room are happy to help you. They love to share their knowledge. They're really good about that. We've got a great community that way. And once they do, you'll know the rule, and you probably will never forget that rule because it happened to you. Once you experience it, much easier to remember than if you're just reading the book and going, "Oh, I think this is right. This was the question I saw before. This must be the right answer."
Any questions out there?
Yeah, guys, feel free to pipe in and give us some questions for Bob. Bob, why don't you tell us a little bit more about your website? Maybe you've got some tricks that you want to share, some tips that we don't know about that are hidden features, not exactly Easter eggs, but some just good stuff that we don't know about the site and what we can do.
Well, some of the best things in easy use is that they have a live helpline during the week, during the day is always there in the bottom right corner of the website if you have any issues. It's web-based, so they have tablet and phone apps through the Apple Store or whatever the other one is for your Google or Android-based tablet or phone. So a lot of the feedback I get from guys is that they like that. They have multiple reminders. Typically, I believe it's 3 days out from an assignment, and it's automated sometime in the central time zone, about 6 a.m., I think, between 4 and 6 a.m. You get an automated email that says you have an assignment coming up. You also get one the same day. And when you're doing the same day, it lists the rank, obviously the time, your partners and your partners' information, their email and their phone numbers. That's one of the things that I think a lot of the guys really like, are the reminders that are there.
Yeah, I mean, we all live by reminders. I like to put everything in my calendar, and I know with your app, it does that automatically once you've set it up. So, it's in your calendar. You do get the reminders, and you get everybody's information. So if you're running tight on time, coming from one game, moving to another, you can contact your partner, or if you have some questions for them or some concern, you can reach out to them. Everything is right there. It's very nice and very convenient.
Yeah, if from an assigner standpoint, there's the knowing that there are no excuses for officials to say, I didn't know I was supposed to work the game.
I didn't know I had that game.
Yeah, well, I went through that last week with someone, and I just shake my head and be like, I don't know, you've worked 30 or 40 other games for me. I don't know how you missed this one.
Yeah.
When you made all the other 40. But
do you guys, it's human nature, but do you guys have like a 3 strikes policy? How does that work? Let's say if knock on wood, I have not missed a game in my 8 or 9 year career here. What happens? I mean, what's the process if somebody does miss a game? Are they,
Yeah, that's a really good. The first thing I'm looking for is someone, I'd prefer if someone actually called me to say they can't make a game if it's close and tight. Not if it's a week away. The great thing about Horizon is there's a button near your schedule where you can just decline a game, and you write in the notes that, hey, a birthday party came up, or I got to go on a work trip, and you can send it in through an email that comes to us. If it's same day, the last thing I want is an email, 3-4 hours before, because I may not always be looking at my phone, but if someone calls, it's going to ring. I really prefer that someone call me. And emergencies happen. Wives have babies. Kids get hurt. I've got 12-year-old twins for everyone who doesn't know. I mean, I'm a parent. I know what it's like. We've got family. Birthday parties pop up. School events pop up. Work travel. Things happen. We're human. It's okay. Just communicate with us to let us know. The last thing I think any assigner, we all hate no call, no shows the most.
No, that's not good.
Because here's the thing, not only it's a disservice to the players first and foremost, is when you're a no call, no show. Secondly, it's to your partner or partners, because you really put them in a bad position. Because a lot of officials aren't comfortable working certain levels by themselves. And as an assigner, I have never someone's arm to say, if you don't want to work a game by yourself, then, I've never tried to twist someone's arm to go and do it. Because the last thing, it's safety. It's safety for you. It's safety for the players and all concerned.
Yeah, it's not the easiest.
Some guys have egos, and they think they can handle things. And typically for the officials that work solo, the pay is double. But that's typically, that's not the goal. To double your pay is to work a game solo. Because quite frankly, I've worked a few of them. It's more than twice the work, to be honest with you. And I think if for those officials that have been on the ice, it really is. It's a lot of work to try and do a fairly higher level game by yourself.
Yeah, it's really tough because you got to get to the goal lines, guys, and that is really tough. And if you get on, advice if you're doing a solo game, I mean, try to stay off the bench side so that you can at least get up and down the ice. You don't want to get caught having to deal with line changes and trying to cover offsides and a goal line and everything else. If it's a varsity game, I'd tell you don't do it. I mean, that's probably my best advice. Even a JV game, you might want to be pretty careful. You better be a pretty good skater, but anything that's higher level and really quick, it's not a good situation to be in. Although I will say most of the time, I think the players are a little bit better behaved. They're a little more understanding. I think the coaches are a little more understanding. They don't want to not have the game, even though they're not happy about it, but they'd rather, be there. They want to play. But, you got to be careful out there, guys. And, players are nice, man. They'll shoot the puck to you. Call the icing. Guess what? The goalie will send the puck to you. The defenseman will send the puck back down to you. They're not going to expect you to go chase the puck back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. I think the players are more human towards you as a referee if you're out there doing a solo game than if you're out there with 2, 3, or 4 guys, to be honest with you. That's been my experience. I don't know if you feel the same way, Bob.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think a 4-man should easily transition to a 3-man. That's not too hard. It's when it's a 2-man when it goes to a solo. I will not do high school games by myself. I'm not going to put myself at that risk. And a lot of the things I've worked so hard for in my life to this point, that it's as much as time, ice is expensive, and you try to, and here's the other part is if you're the only official there, you're taking the brunt of I don't know if you call it the angerness of the other coaches and players that there's not 2 refs. And I try to tell people, hey, it's not my fault. I'm here. My partner's not the one who's here. Yeah. So it's really, you're putting your partner in a bad spot by not, at least if you call, even your partner, you say, hey, I'm running late. I'll be there. I'll try and be there by the time we drop the puck for the first period. Can we hang out? Can we hang on another 2 or 3 minutes because they'll be out on the ice? People are understanding of many things, just like you said, Scott. It's just that the best thing is to communicate and tell someone what's going on. Just the no call, no show. And nowadays with Horizon that we use with the alerts and the reminders, it's just, for the most part, it's really totally unacceptable.
Yeah, I totally agree. And, guys, because, it's not fun to be there by yourself. And, you may have worked 3 or 4 games that day, and all of a sudden this is your 4th game of the day or your 5th game of the day. It happens. And now it's a solo game on a Saturday night, like you've been up since like 6 o'clock this morning. Nothing good is going to come from that for anybody involved. So, be nice. Be nice to the assigners. That's how you get more games, guys. Show up for your games. Right. Do a good job. Be accommodating towards these guys. They're helpful. They'll help you back. I mean, they're people. And my business, you can't be a no-show. It's just not possible. You can't. Yeah, I'm in the event business. What am I going to do? No show somebody? That's my livelihood. Are you kidding me? No matter what, we're going to be there. You can't do it.
If you work in a hospital or medical or dental or even, because what happens if your regular job when you just don't show up? Things typically don't go well.
No.
And I've tried to teach my kids that it's real life. You can't just you're having a commitment. You have to keep it. And, as an assigner, we're kind of your boss, not your boss, but it's a reflection on us to the customer, because the customer doesn't typically know the ref that doesn't show. The first person they're going to call is the assigner and be like, hey, we're paying you to make sure that 2 or 3 or 4 refs are here and they're not. What's going on?
Yeah.
So.
I think you make your point, and everybody should know that, Bob. For joining us today. Before we go, guys, there's a couple things that I do want to mention. One is that, we are going to start promoting something. We're going to do a show a little bit later this year, and it's going to involve all the people that are out there, because we've got the features now to be able to take some, I don't want to call them calls, but we can actually put you on video. We'll get you through this. But we want to do a show on real hockey, real stories of the men's league. So you guys think about the best men's league stories that you have, and send us maybe a note as to what they might be, and we're going to put together a show. We're going to work on promoting that. We finished the golf outing this past week, so I know Jack Raz had his golf outing. Thanks to Jack for putting that on. I know Brad was there, and a lot of guys had a great time. I think Reek sponsored a few adult beverages, so thanks to Reek Hockey for doing that. And to Jack for putting it together. He put 2 of those together for us so we could all have some camaraderie this year. So, again, a big hats off to Jack for doing that. Hopefully he'll do more of that next season, and we'll get back to some hockey. You think we're going to have hockey, Bob? What's your thoughts right now moving forward?
Yeah, that's my gut instinct is that we won't probably have full open hockey until after the first of the year. I work for a company. We purchase products worldwide. We sell all through North America. This pandemic is just crazy. It's not, I don't think, in my humble opinion, it's not political. It's everywhere. You just have to be responsible and be safe in whatever it is that we're doing. But my gut instinct is that there'll be no real open hockey, at least from the state of Illinois, until after the first of the year, the way things are going.
You think we'll still see a few tournaments in other states then? Do you think that's what we're going to be looking at for this season?
I think that will happen as long as those other states are willing to allow the games to happen. I know right now Wisconsin is, I believe Indiana, obviously Michigan. I think the callers or the listeners sent in saying that they were over in Michigan. It's state by state, really. And I won't get. There are tournaments everywhere. The AAA kids are out in Denver a few weeks ago. They're going down to Dallas for tournaments. I know that they are everywhere, but it is a state by state basis.
Yeah.
I just can't wait for it to come back. I mean, it's been long overdue, and yet it's only been a month and a half.
Okay. Well, I want to thank you for joining us and taking time out of your busy day. We talked about doing this a couple months ago, and we finally got you together with us, so I'm very excited that you joined us. And for those of you out there, you can check out the replay on YouTube. I think Brad chimed in from Ref Room, and we'll put his comment up because he was actually checking out. He says, well, good news is watch it on YouTube, and it should fix the stream. Yeah, YouTube does look great up there. And we had Shane comment and say, great show, guys. Keep it up. Thank you for that, Shane. Thanks for checking us out. Everybody, we'll be back next Wednesday. We do this at noon Central Time. If you've got some ideas for some shows that you think we might have a good guest on that you like or want some more information from, hit us up, man. Send me an email. Put it on Facebook. We'll take a look at those things and love to have you guys be a part of the show. So think about your best men's league stories. And we're going to put a show together with that in the next month, 6 weeks, something like that. So maybe we'll do something around the holidays with that. It might be kind of fun. So Bob, maybe you'll have a good story for us for Men's League. You can come join us again.
That'd be great. I'd love to.
Okay. All right. Bob MacPherson, everybody, scheduler extraordinaire and one of the referees that has been around the block for many, many years here and all around good guy. So thanks for joining us, everybody. We're going to finish up. We're going to wrap it up here. We'll see you again next Wednesday. On behalf of Brad and myself, we thank you for joining us. Bob, thanks again. Everybody have a great week.
Everybody.
We'll see you soon. Stay well.